All right, folks. This is a video you've been waiting for. Shaggin' Wagon. That's right. The 1996 Delray High Road. The family truckster. That's going to be the next guide video we have here, Lucas, Isaac, and Parker. The 14th story car, I think now. I might be off of my number. I'll have to double check it when we upload this. But let's go ahead and hop into the Delray High Road, the 1996. Good morning. I'd like someone to take a look at my car. I'm not an automotive fan. Clearly, you bought a 1996 Buick Roadmaster station wagon. The car should serve me to move from point A to point B or to go fishing. I love fishing trips, and that's one of the reasons for my visit. Most of all, I beg you, please do something with the car seat and couch. I recently had a whole container with fish tip over in the boot. That I believe is the trunk. As far as the smell of fish doesn't bother me, the amount of water damage is driving me mad. Please take a look under the hood while you're at it. I know nothing about mechanics, but recently when I was making my way through a back road to the lake, some thingamabob fell off. Excuse me. Since then, the car has been swaying strangely. And do something about the back. When I pack up the whole boot or trunk, the wheels are pressing against the wheel arches. Maybe they're underinflated. Do whatever's in your power. I have got a competition soon, probably a fishing competition. And of course, the ever important, change the oil, drain it, refill with new, and there'll be some other tasks for us to do. So we got a good repair on this video, buddy. So let's pop in here and we will take the order. All right. And like we've done with our other customer vehicles, let's go ahead and take this over to the car wash first and just wash the car. That gives us something to start with. And click on the car and we'll go to car status, check our order. So we have 4 pages of parts to fix. Well, one's identified for us, a leaf spring U-bolt. Change the oil. The other task perform a wheel alignment and refill the washer fluid. Well, heck, washer fluid, we can do that right now. Pop over here to the washer fluid, we'll just throw it right in there. We got washer fluid. And to get that fish smell out of him, let's do a quick detail for this guy. By the way, candy of the day, bottle caps. I think this is a root beer one. They're yummy. All right, let's keep the hood open, pop in here and do some diagnostics. OBD reader 500 Pro. Scan away. Find us some broken parts, please. We're gonna wash that bottle cap down with some Pepsi Max. All right, so everything here is in the 40th percent-ish range. The customer is happy with that. Okay. And compression test. Sometimes when you see parts like that, like 40% spark plug, you or I probably would replace that. This customer is fine with it. And you got to think, a real mechanic, how many times does he bring out parts and say, hey, dude, you should really change this? No, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about it. Really? I'm telling you it's bad. Like, you got to replace these brake pads. No, I'm going to think about it. That's got to be really frustrating for the mechanic. Okay, nothing there. Okay. Let's do the electronic multimeter. Check the electro digitals, so to speak. Check everything here so far is in the 40% range. All right, so we're all in the 40% range here on these parts. And again, we have not discovered a part here. Okay, let's check on the tires. Tires are in the 40% range, it looks like. And I'm betting the customer's okay with the tires. Yep. Okay. And check the fuel system. And then we'll be done with our diagnostic parts. If we find nothing here, we're going to try a few other tests that we haven't done yet. Alright, we got a fuel filter that's bad. That's in the red. And okay, he'd like the fuel filter replaced. Which we're in here right away. Let's go ahead and pop over here to the fuel filter. We'll just buy him a nice new fuel filter. There it is. Put that up. Alright, we've got a fuel filter fixed. One problem solved. And as far as parts, we have not identified hardly anything. Now, I believe he said do something about the couch and the chair in here, right? That this was in poor condition. So the way to do that, when you click on your car, go to Interior Parts and Additional, and Interior Assemble, Interior Disassemble. The reason I'm going to disassemble it, I'm just going to pull the couch, the chairs, and the steering wheel. That's what goes in the interior. And I'm going to look at the percentages of these. So go back to normal mode. 79, 79, 79, 79. Okay. None of these the customer wants replaced. So apparently all that stuff he said about the couch and too much stuff in the back, he was fine with. So that's interior assemble. We're just going to put the same interior parts back in. So the interior was fine. Go to normal mode. Let's move the car to the test path. Now this is something we have not yet done. We've done the alignment of the wheels. We've done the light alignment. We've not actually used the test path. Oh, we're missing a leaf spring U-bolt. Okay, so we got to attach that first. Now the question would be, can I do that here without having to take it over to the lift? So that we can use this. Nope, we got to have it up in the air. Okay, so let's move it to the lift first. Now we could obviously use our mechanics examine mode. That would be another way to do some diagnostics on this thing. We know we have a U-bolt that's missing. So I'm just going to pop up the store while that thing's raising up. Just type in U. U-bolt. There it is. By one. Part mount. There's the U-bolt that was missing. Okay. Now let's move it to the old test path. See if it'll allow us to use the test path tool. So you click here and it said on the computer, are you sure you want to proceed with the path test? And say accept yes. The way this works, it'll fire it up. You move forward at the first stop, hold your brakes. It'll test the front brakes. And you move forward again until it stops. You hold the brake where it says hold brake, and it checks the rear brakes for us. So you see the passengers or driver's side rear on the left looks like the worst brake setup. And then we'll check the front suspension, and then move forward again, and we'll check the rear suspension system. So 27% on the rear suspension on the driver's side, 35% on the brakes on the driver's side. So if you look here, now we got some things that are in the red. Solid control arm, rear shock absorber cap, rubber bushings, spring caps, brake pads. So we have identified some parts that are in poor condition. How many of these made the cut that the customer actually wants repaired? Fair number. So we haven't identified everything yet. Okay, and we have to do a wheel alignment. We'll probably wait until we have the suspension work done before we do that. So let's pop in here. I'm going to go ahead and start the car again. It clearly runs great. drive the car to the test track. Take her over to the test track. This tests some more components that you wouldn't have been able to test just at the test path. Sometimes if the test path identifies everything I needed, I wouldn't do this. But honestly, I like driving on the test path. Run the shaggin' wagon through the course here. And we're not racing here, so there's no reason to run super fast. We'll see if we identified any other parts off that list that we may have missed. I think these are the similar parts that we had already identified through our test path. Let's see if I check our parts list. We still have okay, we identified a few more, actually. Because now we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts that are yet to be discovered. Okay, let's move it over to the lifter. And let's go to examine mode. And then let's pop on the examine parts and see if there's other things we can pick up through our mechanic's eyes. Look at the engine. I just have a suspicion this is going to be primarily a suspension job and not a engine work job, but you never know. We had a fuel filter, so. Check the exhaust system. A lot of orange on this car, not a lot of red. And the customer seems to be happy with orange parts. Alright, that cross member there is bad. Looks like this one is bad as well. Alright. The rear. That side. Okay, I think we have effectively identified or examined every part we could identify, and we're only missing one part that has yet to been fixed. Oh, we have an air filter. I saw that on the list. So let's pop clips off and get the air filter cover off. Ten to 1, it's going to be an oil filter is the part we have yet to identify. So we need just a plain air filter. Part mount. Air filter. Air filter cap, and don't forget your clips. Okay, clips are on. We have to drain the oil, and we're going to do suspension work. Let's get this bad boy up in the air, huh? Up in the air, go car. Move this to the oil drain tool to the Delray High Road and drain it. Move it back. Let's grab the oil filter off and check our car status. Yep, that was the last part to identify. It was an oil filter. At least I thought I saw oil filter. Yep, oil filter V8 right there. Type in oil. It's the V8 oil filter. Part mount. Pop that on. Okay. So got the new oil filter. I'm going to go to examine mode. And essentially, it is the great majority of the rear suspension system here is junk. I mean, we're just going to be pulling the rear suspension. That's going to be the plan. So let's go to here to the rear tire. We'll pop this side off, and we'll slowly pull out all the components here. U-bolts off. There's 2 bolts on a U-bolt, so oftentimes when I'm removing them, I just kind of sit behind them and I just move my mouse to where I know the bolts are sitting. So a lot of times for those, I don't move my mechanic to see the bolt better, I just remove it. There, I'm going to take the drive shaft off now because we're going to need the drive shaft off to remove that rear cross member. Might as well just get it off right now. I know it wasn't something to be repaired, but things that are I like doing, just charge his battery for him. I mean, that doesn't cost us anything to charge a man's battery. We're doing all this work. Battery's right there. Just pop it off, throw the battery on. Same as the disc brakes. Even though it wasn't part of the repair and they didn't say anything about it, I'm going to turn these rotors for this guy because we can use our brake lathe and it doesn't cost us anything. So let's remove this part. I'll just hit escape for a second. I'm going to run. Make your mechanic run faster by holding shift, by the way. Go over to lathe. I'm just going to lathe the brakes. Turn them on the rotor. That is a free service we can provide, and why not be nice to your customers, right? At least that's how the way I like to roleplay this. I just heard that lathe finish, so I'm going to pop this last U-bolt off. And rubber bushing here, and this control arm. And then I'm just going to hit escape for a second and run over to the brake lathe. And now we have a nice new 100% brake disc, and put on the last one. Spring and spring cap off. Maybe. Okay. That stuff is off. I'll pull the brake lathe. Then I'm just going to check to see what parts we can repair. Now, I don't believe we had to repair the calipers. But again, caliper and the caliper cylinders, it cost us $8 to repair that for this guy. The rest of these, the U-bolts, I don't believe needed to be replaced. The control arms did. Drive shaft. I mean, I'm just repairing all these bad parts on this car. Did I have to do this? No. However, I don't feel like this is a huge expense, and it'll make it easier to just reassemble with nice new repaired parts. Especially for like the U-bolt, so I don't have to remember which U-bolt was the one that I had replaced, right? Okay, now let's sort by condition. Now these red parts, the fuel filter we already took care of. Oil filter we took care of. So let's add the red parts to our shopping list, because we know those are parts that cannot be repaired. Air filter we already took care of. And we'll buy that last brake pad and the rear spring. Alright. So I'll pop up our shop page, clear our search, and then we'll go into purchasing. the parts that were on our list. Spring cap, a couple of brake pads, rear shock absorbers, a couple of rubber bushings, leaf spring U-bolt, 2 rear springs, and a coil drive axle. Alright, then we'll pop back over here, go to part mount. Oh, you know what I forgot to grab as I walked by? Grab the battery. Part mount, while I'm thinking about it, click here, and put the battery back on for him. We're able to do that from under the car, which is kind of nice. Right, put the drive shaft on, which we repaired. Okay, drive shaft's back on. New shock absorbers, control arm, spring plate, and the 2 U-bolts. Remember, this second one here was the one that we had replaced that was missing, but like I said, we have nice new U-bolts across the board, so we're good. Spring cap and rear spring, and then the spring cap, or spring, I think it's a spring cap, shock absorber cap. Knuckle housing, and the wheel hub, then the drive axle. 4 bolts here. And we can put on the new brake disc that's at 100% since we turned it on the lathe for the guy. Nice new brake pad. Then we can throw the crap wheel back on. Okay, pop over to this side and we'll do the same repair here. New shock, spring cap, rear spring, and then the shock absorber cap, control arm, U-bolt, or rubber bushing, excuse me, leaf spring plate, and then the 2 U-bolts. Knuckle housing, wheel hub, drive axle, and the nice new brake disc, brake pads, and then the caliper and the old rusty wheel. So the rear suspension is addressed. You can always double check our list. Double wishbone shock absorber, front absorber cap, front spring, those are all in the front. Bottom suspension arm A is in the front. Front suspension cross member C is in the front. Rubber bushings probably from the front. Rear is addressed. So we actually don't have as much to remove from the front. Now the front, we had to take shock absorbers. So we can take that off. I think we can remove this bottom suspension arm without taking off the wheels. Let's try. I don't think I'll be able to take off the cross member though. Well, we might. Let's get that connecting bolt there, shock absorber, lower suspension arm. Then we'll pop the rubber bushings out of the cross member. See if we can take the cross member. We can. So the rest of the front suspension we don't have to address right now. That's cool. Now you could separate these shocks and then have individual parts to to sell, but we know we're going to have to deal with replacing these and combining new ones, so I'm just going to sell them as a set. Then I'm just going to go here to double wishbone shock absorber. We need two front springs, two front spring caps. Then you go to your spring compressor, hit join parts, you click your shock absorber, the spring, and the spring cap. Join, shock absorber, spring, spring cap. Now we have those two addressed. Then we can pop to our repair bench. The one bottom suspension arm we were able to replace, or repair, that's good. Then we'll go to our list. So, gosh darn it. I'm going to sort by arrival. The other way. That way I had the rear suspension parts at the back. So, suspension arm. I'm just going to buy all the rubber bushings. One bottom suspension arm. The links are fine. Rubber bushings we're just replacing across the board. That's from the rear end. So I think that's all we have to buy for the front. Front suspension crossmember, clearly the most expensive thing. We'll just get 8 rubber bushings. We just replaced them all. That way I don't have to remember which ones were red and which ones were orange. And one bottom suspension arm. Alright, let's head right over here. Go to part mount, put in the new crossmember, which has 4 rubber bushings on it. 1, slide over here. 2, keep sliding around. 3, and 1 more. 4. Okay, then we can put the bottom suspension arm back on, which has 2 rubber bushings. Let's slap on the new shock absorber and the end link. And I'm going to click over here, put on the bottom suspension arm on this side with 2 new rubber bushings. Put on the new shock absorber and the end link. Okay, then I'm going to check our car status. And that addressed all the repairs we were supposed to do. Now we just have to put some oil in and then align the wheels, which we waited till we were done with all the suspension work before we aligned the wheels, because otherwise you'd have to redo it once you change that front suspension. So click here, hit add oil. Oil is in. Again, you can always pull the dipstick just to double check how good you were at filling oil. We're good. And I'm going to right click on the car, move the car to the test path. Head to our wheel alignment tool. Click on the wheel alignment tool, and we're just going to move the bar till it lines up and it's all green. And once you have it aligned, it saves this to the car. Just hit escape. There's nothing else you have to hit. Go over here, car status. All green on those 4 pages of parts. The oil's done. Windshield fluid and wheel alignment. Let's finish the order for $59.60. And we leveled up and we got a case. Let's open the case. Excuse me. 1 and 2. More experience and $1,000. Then we have a pile of parts, none of which are repairable. So I'll just go to inventory and we'll sell all the parts that are, let's say, below 77%. And we're just left with those 3 parts that we had left over from previous jobs. Now we did level up. So to end this guide, let's check our skill points. We have 6 available. This costs 6 for fast hands or strong arms. So I'm going to go with strong arms first. Unlock. There we go. We have $4,800. We have more than enough money for a dyno now. Could buy the warehouse. That's, I think, secondary salvage parts, same deal. The second lifter, and then the ability to customize. Let's get the second lifter at the very least. That gets rid of the bus in the shop. So if you go over here, we got rid of the bus, and now we have 2 lifts, and we have some extra storage for parts. Now the other thing we're going to go ahead and invest in, I'll just click on another toolbox, is the customization. And I'll tell you why. So we have customization. One of my pet peeves, and my friend's pet peeves when we first started playing this game, look at the garbage all over this place. I mean, yeah, it's a shop, but I'll be honest. I was a porter in my dad's shop as a mechanic. If his shop was in this much disarray, he would have had a heart attack. I would have had to stay late at night with a broom, a bucket, and scrub these floors, get all the oil off of it, get all the stains off of it. I mean, he would have had a nightmare about how his shop in this kind of disarray. And I think a lot of mechanics are that way. Maybe some aren't, but boy, my dad definitely was. So, point is, you can go over here to customization, and you can look at the garage to floor. There's options. Where is it at? This changes the color of the floors, which is, you can have a lot of fun with this. You know, so change it to whatever you like. I'm going to change it to this wood floor. That's kind of cool. What was that? Option. Yeah, I like that wood floor. It's kind of neat. Garage upper walls, lifter arms, tire changer, wheel balancer. There's all these changes that you can change on. What I'm looking for, where is it at? There's an option here. I mean, you can obviously see, oh, here it is. Garbage and damage. Okay, so you can see right now we have a ton. Default is apparently a ton of damage and crap. Option 1, no garbage. That's what I want. And once you have it set, you can hit escape and it saves that. So we'll go with these wood floors. I think that kind of looks neat. Since I did that on garage floor A, garage floor B, garage upper walls, I like the brick. Going with the brick. Option 2, option 1. Yeah, we'll go with option 3. Garage lower walls. Option 3, bricks. Lifter. Let's see, I had yellow on my main save. Let's make the red lifts. Lifter arms. Red. Tire changer. Go red. Balancer will go red. Lockers. And we made everything else red. Let's keep it consistent. Cabinets. Red. Building upper walls. Hey. That's not bad. But we'll go red. Lower walls. Option 3 should be the same brick. Garage gates. Those are our options. Let's go with blue doors. Red and blue goes okay. Workshop floor. I think we went to option 20, right? Yep, that was that wood grain. I kind of like that. Option 3 bricks. Option 3 bricks. Making everything kind of the same wood grain here. and the same bricks. I'm just being consistent. I mean, obviously, you guys could mess with this as much as you want. Come up with the combo of colors and patterns that you like the best. There's probably a way you could even build your own in Photoshop or what have you, and do what you wish. All right, so it doesn't give us a ton of options here. Let's go with the blue and white. Okay, I like the yellow and white. Do that. 20. There we go. Building upper walls, lower walls. We're going to go with those same bricks. Gate. Gate. Yep. All right. So that changes everything for us. And then you don't have to click save or anything. You just hit escape and that saves everything. So now we have changed the look of this shop dramatically. It's well worth $1,000, and you can get as custom as you want on how this looks. This is just a layout I kind of like. I'll save on doing the dyno. I can't recall if you had to do a dyno run in the guide in the story cars or not. So we'll hold off on that for now. But definitely that's where you're going to customize car, customize gearboxes, get your HPs and your pound-feet of torque. You get a ton of stuff. But I think this is where we're going to go ahead and shut down this guide. Lucas, Isaac, Parker, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one. As far as a preview for the next one, excuse me, 2003 Sixon Sabulion. Again, this is a made-up car name. That's fine. We'll get into that one in the next video. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you later.